Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and this is Knitting Blooms. I am back from Knittopia and I missed chatting with you guys for the last couple of weeks. I had a really fantastic time at Knittopia this year. However, it was a little bit different than previous years because I had a little one joining me. Before we left for Knittopia, Sammy had gotten off insulin, and he had been off insulin for, I believe it was 9 days. But after about 9 days, maybe it was 8 days, and then we went back on after 9, his numbers were starting to climb a bit. So instead of leaving him home and allowing his numbers to just continue to climb, I elected to put him back on insulin and take him with me. It did cause a bit of stress on both my part and his part, but I think it was a better choice than leaving him home and worrying about what's going on at home and so forth. So I think it was on I don't remember what day it was. I think it was on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, when we decided to go ahead and put him back on insulin before I left for camp. I don't remember exactly what day it was. It might have been a few days before that. Anyway, so he went back on insulin. Actually, I think it might have been the week before, because we had planned on taking him in for blood work just to make sure everything was good. I had done that, and we had blood pressure tests and a whole mirage of blood work done just to see, make sure everything was all in order. And then I took him with me to camp. We left early Wednesday morning. Steve was going to drive the van up to the camp, to the cabin, because we had so many boxes and bins. There's no possible way for me to fit it in my car or even multiple cars. So I always rent a U-Haul van to tote everything up there. And Steve wanted to get it done and out of the way as early as possible so that he could get home and, have the day to do whatever he wanted to do. So we left here, I think it was around 6:15 or so. We got up to the cabin at around 8, and we got the van unloaded, and then Sammy and I kind of hung out in our room for the next couple of hours waiting for others to arrive. I did this because I wanted to kind of give him a sense of security, because it was a new environment, and I didn't want him to freak out. So we kind of just hung out in the room for a couple hours, and he did quite well. In fact, he did quite well for like the first full week. Well, almost a week. By, I think it was Tuesday, his numbers, the Tuesday after we got to camp, his numbers were starting to rise a bit. And I suspected that there was a possible infection. Oh wait, let me back up for a minute. Before that, because I only had Sammy with me, I could monitor litter box usage a little bit better than at home, and I noticed that there was no poop in the litter box. So we discovered that he might be constipated, so we went through the whole constipation thing. Was that before? I don't even remember now. The days are like kind of jumbled together. But anyway, there was constipation issues. There was a possible infection. So we had to get antibiotics called in. We had to get Miralax to help him, get flowing again. And then at the end of the week, I think there was a little bit of homesickness, along with missing 2 of my roommates who had left that morning. So for the last weekend, it was quite stressful for me because Sammy wasn't eating normally. His blood sugar was fine, but he just was not eating normally. He didn't even eat half of what his normal food was. So I was getting very, very concerned. I did take him outside a couple of days in hopes to kind of help him with cabin fever, because, you know, locked up in one room for a week is probably not the most fun. And hearing all the laughter and fun that's happening downstairs was probably not too much fun for him either. But the moment we arrived home, he was eating fine, he was perfectly happy, and everything has been fine since then. He is still on insulin. He's on a very small dose, the same dose that he was on right before he came off insulin. He's still on that dose, and we're just going to kind of see how it goes. I'm hoping that we might be able to shave that dose a little bit down by the end of this weekend, but his numbers are climbing just a little bit, so I don't know if it's because we've been pushing back the shot time, and whenever you give him give shots that are less than 12 hours apart, it's almost like giving an increase. So I don't know if his numbers are getting a little wonky because of the shot time being moved. They are not high by any, you know, they're still within the normal range where they want the cat to be considered in remission, but they're not where I would like them to be. So when we first got home from Knittopia, his numbers were in the 60s, and now they're kind of the 60s and 70s, and now they're kind of the 80s to 100s. So they're a little bit higher, but still very, very much normal. But like I said, I'm hoping that once this shot time is regulated, which it is now, now that we'll be doing 12 hours shots, I'm hoping that it will settle down. If not, I will be just smidging up the dose just a little bit, just to give him a little bit more boost. But possibly we will be smidging down the dose as well, just depending on how things go. So anyway, so camp was a little different in that aspect, but I still had an absolutely amazing time. All the ladies that attended camp were so much fun to be around and just hang around with, and there was things that were learned. We had a couple of classes that were just amazing. We did soap making, and we made lotion bars. We did a Mobius class. There were stamped gift tags. We had a broomstick lace class. What else did we do? I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, I did dyeing. We always do yarn dyeing every year. Everyone always loves that. And we did that. There's got to be something else we're missing. I can't remember. But we had some amazing classes. I learned a lot from just chatting with people. There's so many lists that were made as far as things that we wanted to buy when we left Knittopia, things we wanted to research. I've already placed a number of orders from camp. When I was at camp, I placed orders, and since I've been home, I have placed orders. And it's just a time of sharing and friendships and shenanigans and what have you. I did not take as much video this year as I did last year. Because Sammy was there, I was a bit preoccupied because we had shot times and test times and fluids and antibiotics and Miralax and all this stuff. It got a little crazy. So there wasn't as much video as there was last year, so I don't really have a video to show you, but I did post a lot of pictures on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Bloomingknitter over there, and you can go check out some of the pictures from Knittopia. But we did have an absolutely amazing time, and Knittopia 2016 is already in the planning stages. In fact, let me just give you a bit of information about that right now. Let me just talk about the shenanigans. There was a bunch of shenanigans at camp this year. we had yarn bombing, and we had animals that had to be taken care of, and there was 5 o'clock shots and 3 o'clock popcorn, and it was just amazing. It was amazing. There's certain things that we've decided that we have to have every year at Knittopia. Now, we've had the 3 o'clock popcorn for the last several years. That is still definitely going to be a staple at Knittopia, but the 5 o'clock shots are definitely a continuation for Knittopia next year. And then we've also decided that we must have a Sunday bar every night. Well, maybe not every night, but a couple of nights during camp, because that was a whole lot of fun. But we did have so many donations to, we made squares that we will make into an Afghan, which we already made into an Afghan, and I don't have here right now to show you because I have it in the laundry room to wash the blankets. But maybe next week I will show you those blankets. We did complete 2 blankets and a large snuggle because we didn't have quite enough to do another blanket. So we just kind of finished off and made a large snuggle. I believe we had about 90 preemie hats or baby hats to donate to Mama's Boys. We had around 60 or so hats to go to Halos of Hope. And I don't even know how many toys we had. We had a bunch of toys as well. There were a total of, I think, 36 participants at camp. And we had, I want to say, at least that many animals, maybe a few less. So we had lots of animals to donate. What else did we make for donation? I mean, that was just amazing. I mean, for 36 people to make all those hats and squares and animals, all of that stuff, it's amazing. And we've already chosen, we're going to still do all of those things again next year, the animals, the squares, the snuggles. We did do a bunch of snuggles on the knitting machine at camp. They didn't actually get finished at camp, but people took them home to finish them up at home. And so we're still going to do all of those charities next year again. But we are adding a new charity next year, and we are going to do knitted knockers. One of the ladies had made a set of knitted knockers at camp, and we're like, you know what? We should make some of these and donate them. So that is going to be a new thing at Knittopia next year. So we'll see how many boobs we get donated next year, along with all of our squares and hats and toys. So, Knittopia 2016. The dates have already been selected. The dates are April 14th to 24th, 2016. It's going to be in the same location, the same cabin, all of that. And what I'm going to do for registrations or sign-ups, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to open up a thread both on the Knittopia Ravelry group as well as the Knitting Blooms Ravelry group. And you can sign up on either of those threads. And it's going to be done as a lottery. So what I will do is I will take all of the entries from both threads and I'll put it in a spreadsheet and figure out what leg people want to go to. So what you're going to do, and I will include all this information in the threads, but what you're going to do is you're going to post to one or the other, not both, post to one or the other which leg or the entire retreat or which legs you would like to attend. And I will put that in the spreadsheet. And then what I will do is I don't know if I'll do a random number generator or if I'll just cut all the pieces up and put them into a hat and draw them. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be done, but it will be done as a lottery so that everyone has equal chance to attend. And I'm going to have it open from the time that this podcast airs on Saturday morning, because I'm actually recording this on Thursday, But by the time this podcast airs, hopefully by the time this podcast airs on Saturday morning, I will have set up the threads, and you can go in and put your name into the hat for a spot at Knittopia 2016. I will keep those threads open through the end of May, and then at the beginning of June, or maybe, yeah, I think at the beginning of June, like the first day or so of June, I will do the drawing. How, like I said, it's probably going to be, I'm just going to cut up the pieces and throw them into a hat, and then draw a name and see what leg that they want, or legs, or whatever that person wants, and put them on the spreadsheet and fill the spots that way. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And then what will happen, so like if somebody gets pulled and they wanted the entire retreat, but there's not a space available for the entire retreat, then they will get the option to do the legs that are available. So I hope it will be fair for everybody, because I would like to allow, everyone to have equal opportunity to attend camp. But like I said, the threads will be opened hopefully by the time this podcast airs, and then you can just go and enter on one or the other thread for a chance to attend Knittopia 2016. Once I do the drawing to determine who's going to be accepted into the retreat, a 50% deposit will be required by the middle of June. So you'll only have a couple weeks after you get selected to send in a 50% deposit. I will contact everybody directly and let them know that they've been accepted and how much they're going to owe for 50% down. And yeah, I mean that, and then so then they'll have to have payment by the middle of June. That way I can get my deposit off to the camp by the end of June. And then final payment will be due by the beginning of November. And again, I will include all of that information in the threads. So that's for Knittopia 2016. Now, let me share with you all of the knitting that I got done at Knittopia. So I took a lot of projects with me. Every year I say I'm going to cut back on projects because I start new projects when I'm at camp. There's classes and new things are cast on for the classes, or projects are started, or what have you. I did not do that, and I really should have, because then with all of the additional supplies that I had to take for Sammy, it was overwhelming. But I got some knitting done. I didn't get as much knitting done as I had hoped because of the stresses of the Sammy situation and all of that. But I did get a good amount of knitting done. So let me just start with the first project that's on the stack over here. Oh, and by the way, I got so many gifts from the ladies at Knittopia, and I got yarn and project bags and a very cool cross-stitch picture, and a felted like kind of yarn bowl, and I just got so many fabulous gifts, and the whole group ended up giving me a very large gift this year. And they gave it to me in the form of money, and I have already made some purchases with that money. And I did this because I want to have something specific. I think in years past I just kind of, didn't have anything specific that was like a gift from Knittopia. So this year I did make some large purchases of yarn for some large projects, and I will show those to you when the yarn arrives. I did place those orders today, so I'm guessing that I will have maybe one of them next week, but the other one might be a few weeks out because I think it might be a custom order. So I will share those with you. And then that will be my memory of what was gifted to me from all the ladies at Knitopia, which is just awesome. I can't believe they do what they do for me, but I guess they enjoy camp. So I appreciate the gifts that they give me. Anyway, so let me show you my first project, which I didn't get too much work on, but I did get some work on, and it's my Never Shall Meet shawl. There's my stitch marker. Now, I don't know, the stitch marker was way back over here. I think I had showed it to you when it was way back over here, so I had moved it up, and this is what I got done at camp. I am using my hand spun, and I am still very much enjoying this project. It's very easy to follow. I was nervous when I picked it up at camp, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't remember what row I was on because I didn't leave good notes on my Knit Companion app, but I was able to look at it and pretty much figure it out where I was. But this is where I am right now. It's still very kind of skinny. I still got quite a bit of yarn left over. I mean, I haven't even used a small portion of this yarn. But it's coming along, and I am very much enjoying how it's coming out with my hand spun. And there's just one of the stitch patterns for you to see. I love the texture so much. And that's the Never Shall Meet shawl. The next thing I'm going to show you, which I don't think I got too much progress on it, are my socks. I don't even, there's not even a stitch marker on these socks, but I'm sure that I showed you this before. I'm not sure. This one, oops, almost losing some stitches. This one has a stitch marker. But these are my Spinning Fate socks, and they're the Mardi Gras colorway, but I don't remember what the name of the colorway was. It was a special colorway for a Knitting's My Bag combo bag and yarn kit. That was a couple years ago though. So that is coming along. Again, I don't know why I don't have a stitch marker in here, but obviously haven't gotten too much work on that one. So that goes back in the bag. Oh, let me show you the little itty bitty preemie hats that I made. I don't have all of them here because I gave some of them to my friend. She needed some little baby boy preemie hats. And so I knit up, I think I knit up 3 little baby boys, and then I knit up this one so that I would have one as my sample pattern. But these are really tiny. They are much smaller than the other preemie hats that I normally do. Normally, my preemie hats are 72 stitches. This one is 48. And my friend, she was knitting some, and she had said that the NICU in her area needs really small baby preemie hats that fit the size of a lemon. And they needed boy hats because I guess most people donate girl things, and it's so sad when one of the little preemies dies and the parents have nothing to take home. So I did knit up a few baby boy hats so that if one of the preemies boy dies, preemies die, the parents will have some memento of their short life. But these are so precious. I just can't even imagine a baby being that small. So I did knit up a few, and like I said, this was just a sample so I could remember how many stitches and how I did the decreases and how many rows and what have you. So I did do 4 total hats while I was at camp. So that was my my April hats. I have not posted those pictures yet, but I did take pictures before I gave those hats away. And I have a whole bunch more yarn in here to do more little baby hats. Let's see. I want to show you my sock yarn blanket. I think I'm in the middle of a square, obviously. I didn't remember being in the middle of the square, but I think I am caught up. I might have one more square. 1, 2, let me see. I had 5 squares that I needed to do for March, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have 1, 2, 3. So I have 1.5 more squares I need to do for April. So let me just kind of show you the blanket as it is now. And I have so many ends. I had planned on taking time at camp to weave in some of these ends, and I did not do any of them. So let me just give you a quick look. This was a new one that I did. Some of these other ones I already had. But I just love this project because it's so colorful. It's so much fun to work on. They are quick, easy squares. Quick and easy to do. It's just fun. Here's the one that I'm currently working on. I had forgotten that I had one here. And so I think I'm on one more row. I have to figure out how many rows I have. At one point I had 2 rows going at one time. But that's where I am. These are all this side. I don't have any new squares on this side. But I will take pictures. I have not taken pictures of the March squares and the April squares, but I will take pictures of those and post them on my project page. Usually what I do at camp also is I take a picture of the complete blanket on the stairs. Completely forgot to do that this year. That's all right. I think I forgot to do it one other year too, so it's not a big deal. But I do like to do that, you know, as often as I can, you know, every year that we go to camp. So that blanket is coming along slowly, but that's to be expected. I do not expect that to be a project that's finished anytime soon. The other blanket that I haven't shown you is the log cabin blanket, and this is going back to work with me, but I kept it home because I wanted to show it to you because I haven't actually shown it to you in person. But I am in the middle of a square, so I'm going to try and do my best to show you. But it is my modern log cabin blanket, and I'm on square or block number 9, and it's this purple and brown block where it's half brown and half purple. And it's at the bottom of the blanket. It's a big blanket. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show you how big it is. But it's pretty large right now. I mean, it's a good size right now. Let's see if I can. I believe it's wider. It's wider than my wingspan this way. And it's about, I don't know, probably a little over a yard wide. But there is still one more block that goes down to make it wider. So it's going to be a very, very nice lap size blanket for the couch. So let me see if I can show you a little bit of this side. I can't see what I'm seeing because I'm behind, but you guys can see. But these are the colors, and I really like how it's coming along. I did take it with me, and I did work on it for a short time at camp, but not nearly as much as I thought I was going to work on it. There was just too much going on. I think I worked on it the first couple of days, but then after that I didn't even pull it out. So it is coming along. Like I said, I have the rest of block number 9 and block number 10 to complete. And then I get to start the second one. And I would really like to get this one done before the end of June, because then that still gives me 6 months to get the other one done as well. So this hair, I don't know what's going on with my hair today, but it's driving me crazy. Anyway, the next project that I'll show you, it's my Ecuador. And you might be surprised about this, but this is what it looks like. Yes, I tore it out. I need to rewind the yarn. This is one set of colors, or one set of balls, and this is the other set of balls that I need to rewind and do a gauge swatch. I have not done that yet. I really want to get it started again. I really want to make this sweater, but I need to make sure that the gauge swatch is accurate before I move forward, because honestly, if it's not accurate, what's the point? Because I was going to run out of yarn before. I think I need to go down like 2 needle sizes. I think, let's see what size needle. I think this is a 4. Yes, this is a 4. I think I'm going to go down definitely to a 3, but probably a 2, because I am a loose knitter and this yarn is very springy, and what I'm going to need to do is stretch it to block it to get the right gauge. So we'll see how that goes. I might end up, you know, scratching the whole project, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The next project I'm going to show you is a new project for my mom. This is yarn that she had given me when I was visiting her. She said, I probably will never knit this. Will you knit me something from it? So we had kind of gone through, and she had picked different patterns that she liked, and then I have a list of which different shawl patterns she's interested in, and I'm going to be starting to work on those. But here is the first one that I started while I was at camp. It is the Citron, and it's in this lovely blue color. The yarn is, I believe it's Knit Pick Shadow. I want to say it's Knit Pick Shadow. It's a lace yarn. And we actually have 2 colors. We have this blue and a darker blue that's going to go on this. She wants it quite large. So this is 2 sections, and I've started the 3rd section with this ruched section. I believe the pattern is only written for 5 sections, and I want to say that when I made mine, it was like 9 sections. It was 8 or 9. It was definitely bigger than 5 sections. I don't remember exactly how many sections I had, but she definitely wants it much bigger. She actually has 2 skeins of each color, the light blue and the dark blue, and I'm probably going to try and use as much of it as possible. And what I probably will do is when I get close to being done with the light blue, I will alternate skeins between the regular stockinette section to kind of transition to the darker color, rather than just having a blunt line to transition. So we'll see how that goes. But that is started. I do have a few other shawls that she wants me to do. I think she gave me 6 sets of lace weight yarn. So I'll get through it. I don't know how quickly it will go through, but we'll have to just see. But that's the first one. I decided to start something simple for camp because I knew that it was going to be difficult. And of course, I started a new project at camp. I was gifted this yarn and encouraged to cast it on, and I love it so far. And apparently it doesn't even matter that it's not socks. My yarn is all tangled up again. But this is the yarn. How could I not love this yarn? Let me see if I can get this untangled here. I know I just probably pulled this out of here the wrong way, and that's my problem. think I got it. Okay. So this yarn is Manos de Uruguay, I think. I think that's what it is. Manos, yeah, de Uruguay. It's 100% extra fine merino wool, kettle dyed. And I believe it's worsted weight. It doesn't specifically say worsted, but it's the Maxima base. It's a single ply, and love the colors in my new project bag that was also gifted to me. And this is what I'm making. And guess what? It's double knitting. Double knitting. I've never done double knitting before. My friend had cast this on and she was doing it and I was watching her and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I really need to learn double knitting. She's like, well, here's some yarn. Cast one on. So I cast it on and I love it. I think there's going to be a double knitting tutorial in my near future because I'm really having a lot of fun with it. When I first got started with it, it was really kind of hard to kind of separate my brain to know which was the right side and which was the back side and which was the green side and which was the pink side and how the dots all worked. But now I can pretty much knit and I don't even have to have the pattern. There are a couple of mistakes, I will admit, but they're not that noticeable. I noticed them because I know what it's supposed to look like, but it's not a big deal. I was not going to rip it back. I mean, even when I look at this, I see the mistake that I made here. Let me see if I can see the mistake on this side. Yeah, I can kind of see the mistake on that side too, but I know what I'm looking for. But yeah, but I love it so far. Like I said, there's probably going to be, I don't know what I did there. Oh, and I think the stitch markers just got in the way. There probably will be a double knitting tutorial in the near future. So if you are thinking about starting to do some double knitting or want to learn how to do double knitting, watch for that tutorial. So having a lot of fun with this. It's going to be just a scarf, but it's going to be a very pretty, lovely, soft scarf. And the last project that I have to show you was also not cast on, but it was started. And it is weaving, and of course, my colors, blue and green. We're going to see how this goes. So far, I only have that much cast on, or that much woven. I haven't had too much time this week to do any weaving, but it is a very lightweight cotton yarn. I wanted to make some dish towels, and I thought I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how I like it. It's only a 10-inch loom, but I figure for some small little dish towels that I'm going to use, it's perfectly fine. It'll give me the opportunity to determine if I like to do weaving, and if I do like it, then I can always get a larger loom. But for now, this is the size it's going to be. But I am enjoying it so far. There was quite a bit of a learning curve for me, but I think I've kind of gotten it down, and I have, you know, learned how to do the edging so that I can have fringe, and I've been encouraged to take a Craftsy course on rigid heddle loom, which I'm planning on doing as soon as Craftsy has a sale, because I'm not paying $40 for a class that I know that I can get for less than that. So I'll just have to wait for the sale, and then when I can get it on sale, I will get that class and take that class. But that is a new project. I started doing some weaving a couple years ago when my friend had given me this loom. We had warped the loom at camp, and when I came home, I just never did anything with it. It was too overwhelming for me to think about to do on my own, so I never did anything with it. I had bought the yarn to do these dish towels and just never did anything with it. But at camp, we spent one afternoon, on Sunday afternoon, the first weekend, and we warped the loom. I think we spent about 3 to 4 hours doing that, and then it wasn't until much later in the week, I think we were all just like so done with it by after Sunday afternoon, that we didn't even start to think about it until I think it was Thursday night. And then we pulled it back out and we realized that there was a couple things that weren't quite right, which we fixed, and then practiced the weaving part of it. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to go well, and I think I will enjoy it. And then once I get it off of the loom, I think that's when I'll really determine how I like it and whatnot. But anyway, I think that is everything on my list. So I did get a lot of stuff done at camp, even though I didn't work on all the projects that I took with me. I did get a lot of stuff done, started a lot of projects. I still have a lot of things that I want to get started. Like I said, I placed orders for yarn for knitted knockers. In fact, I have that order. I've already received that order over there. I'll show you that next week. I placed other orders for two sweaters that I would like to knit before next Knittopia. I'd like to knit some socks from the Knittopia colorway this year, and possibly some kind of scarf or shawlette too. So yeah, there's a lot that's going to be knit over the next year. But I had a fabulous, fabulous time. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to next year already. Knittopia, being away and hanging out with knitters for 12 days, you just can't beat that. You just can't beat it. So if you have any questions about signups for Knittopia 2016, please feel free to get in contact with me, or go over to the thread either on the Knitting Blooms group or the Knittopia group and put your name in the hat to get a spot for Knittopia. Like I said, I'll have all the information, pricing, and all of that over there. So if you're interested, go check it out. I will talk to you next week, hopefully. Yeah, I might do a tutorial next week, but I think I'll probably be chatting with you next week. So, hope you're knitting blooms this week, and I hope you have a great week. Bye for now.
As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to contact me with your comments or suggestions, as I am always trying to improve the show. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube as Bloomingknitter. You can also find me on Plurk, Twitter, and Pinterest as Bloomingknitter, but I don't frequent those sites as often. I post show updates on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes to Google Plus and Plurk. I am Miss Aerobics on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit. You can always find all the old episodes as well as links to the tutorials on the blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And you can also follow the show on Facebook. You can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com, and show notes can be found at knittingblooms.com.